This is Dr. Santos Sobron again talking about healthy tips for busy people or not so busy people right now when a lot of people are staying home. A lot of things need to be changed or modified, and I'm just going to share some of the ideas that I have found very useful for people when they work from home or stay home, looking for a job or keeping a job, either way. The first one is something that we have found over time helps with both depression and anxiety, and it's been studied in evidence-based medicine, and it's called it's called the gratitude journal. It's a journal that you keep at your bedside, where you write 3 things you're grateful for in the morning and 3 things you're grateful for in the evening. And what that does, it keeps you looking for things to be grateful every day. We know that gratitude is one of the strongest emotions in terms of feeling better and feeling beating depression and anxiety, which, by the way, right now is probably rampant. There's a lot of people that were a little bit depressed before. Now, since there's a sense of loss, it is becoming more aggravated by this pandemia, the COVID pandemic I'm talking about, obviously. So that will be number 1, keeping that gratitude journal. The second point is to keep moving. It's very easy to just go ahead and stay home and sit down and watch the news, watch TV. And the problem with that is that not only that increases your risk of having problems. We have found that sitting is being called the new smoking, and I'm not quite sure it's as bad as smoking, but it's definitely bad to sit all day long. So we have certain ideas on keeping moving. Some of them are looking at YouTube. They have videos. One of them is called a 2-mile walk or a 1-mile walk at home. And then you can just, keep moving with the people in the screen. And that way, at least you get some exercise at home. The third point is to try to get sun. Today, fortunately, it's a beautiful day outside. It's sunny, it's not too hot. So if you have a backyard, it's a good idea to get out in the backyard and just in a chair, just enjoy the sun. We know that the sun affects certain brain centers, the amygdala and the hippocampus, and releases endorphins, and also helps to dilate the capillaries in the skin, which help with circulation. And sometimes we think that the reason some people have lower blood pressure during the summer is because they're exposed more to the sun. Also gives you natural vitamin D improvement just taking the sun. So that will be the number 3 point that I want to emphasize. Also, other good ideas will be like learning to cook at home, or trying to new recipes. That stimulates memory. We know that cooking is good for the senses. It stimulates different senses and also memory, just planning the recipe and following instructions. And that also gives you something to look forward to. Some people, if they're living alone, they might decide to cook once a week, or cooking every other day. You don't have to do it daily, but you can cook for several days during the week, and that becomes an activity that probably you will enjoy, and also if there's some planning involved. And finally, what I wanted to tell you is that obviously we still have to be very careful with the way we handle things. We have found that the best way to protect from the virus is basically, believe it or not, just washing your hands frequently and using disinfectant frequently in the hands. So you got to become what is called a hand Nazi, which is you become really, really conscious of where your hands are, what you're touching. After you touch something that might be contaminated, just wash your hands. How do you wash your hands? Try to rub your fingertips and your thumbs. It's a good idea, and do it for about 20 seconds. Why do we do that? Because most likely what's going to happen is the way you're going to get this virus, if you get it, is by touching something and then touching either your nose, your mouth, or your eyes. Also, by using the mask, the famous mask that finally the government and the CDC and everybody's advising to use some kind of mask. It might not prevent the virus from getting there, but it helps you to develop a new habit, which is not touching your face frequently when you wear a mask. The fact that you're having that mask makes you develop new routines. A lot of people touch their faces non-stop. So these are some of the practical tips I wanted to share with you. God bless you. Prayer is important. Just coming up with certain segments in the day, getting organized prayer segments instead of just watching the news. Praying a little bit more, and just trying to limit again the exposure to the news is very important. And I just want to share these few tips with you. Finally, probably the most important tip is, people ask me all the time, when do I have to go to the hospital, doctor? Let's say that I'm having fever, I'm having chills. This sometimes feels exactly like the flu, but then it's associated to what is called the pulmonary situation, which is significant shortness of breath. And that's when you have to think about going to the hospital. A great idea is to call the hospital, let them know that you're thinking you might have this COVID infection, so they get ready for you in the emergency room. And that might be the only reason to actually go to the hospital. If you start developing significant shortness of breath, definitely you have to go to the hospital. Other than that, it's much better just to ride this whole thing at home. A lot of people ask me about testing. It's very difficult with testing. We don't have the rapid testing here in this town and in many places. In doctor's offices, it's not available in doctor's offices. You have obviously the drive-through, but it's not rapid testing. It's still the slow testing that takes sometimes anywhere between 2 to 5 days to get. By that point in time, you need to be quarantined. So it's complex. Once we have the rapid testing, it's going to be much easier to say, well, this person has the virus and this person doesn't have the virus, and then you can decide in a much more logical way what to do. But right now, obviously, quarantine at home, if you're having symptoms, is the best thing. You could actually be in a home without other people. Just try to isolate yourself, not to share anything, use your own bathroom, and just use common sense, and obviously use your mask. And this is what I wanted to share today. And I'm sorry I didn't do any video last week, but this has been very hectic, and obviously I'm praying for you. And again, have a good day. I hope these tips help you to remain sane at home, which is obviously challenging this time.